Hillary Mueller. Hey, I really appreciate spending this time with you to chat for a few minutes about what you've been doing and what's working for you. And it's a really interesting example to me. So you're relatively new to Columbus. And so you came here because of your husband and really had no contact sphere or any base of business here whatsoever, right?
Right.
And how long you been in Columbus now?
A little over 2 years.
Little over 2 years. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I look at what you did last year, which was actually pretty good considering around $3 million in business, which is really pretty spectacular when you look at what the norm is for what most people. But what really also excites me is this year you're on track now to double that kind of business. You joined with us in May of 2020, right? Sometime in summer.
Correct.
And it's interesting as I look at your progression. So when I look at your month to month, I'm looking at months with one or two closings prior to that in the first half. And since then, I'm seeing months with 2 to 3, 4 closings. In November, your best month hitting 1.7 million in closings, let alone for the month of November. So high five to you there. What do you think is working for you about, one, how to prime your pump when you don't have that sphere? Because that's where most people start with their business. And you're starting with a clean slate. How to prime that pump and what's working for you to grow your business and looking to double that this year.
Right. So I really concentrate on, the marketing side of things and gaining new clients. But then making sure that I take care of those clients so that I get that referral base built as well for the future.
Awesome. Would you say you view yourself kind of more of a salesperson or more of an educator to people?
No, I see myself more as an educator to people.
Awesome. That's really great. And it really fits in with what we're about. So, for example, the name of our company is very specific, why we picked that name, Reveality. The idea is that you should reveal everything your clients need to know to make an informed decision. It's not about trying to get them to do something, getting a buyer to buy or seller to sell. It's just simply making them an informed decision maker. And you feel that kind of format fit really well into what your propensity is anyways, it seems to me. And that's working for you to really connect with people.
Absolutely. I think so.
It's a lot more fun to educate people, right? Like, who wants to get people to, I'm almost the opposite. Like, you sure you want to make an offer? You sure you want to, have you ever talked to anybody out of making an offer?
Absolutely. I had one client last year, a couple that, they lost a few homes on bids. And, one of them got frustrated with it. And then the other one, it just continued to motivate them to keep going. And I remember walking out of a house with them one time and they just started arguing in the driveway.
Oh, that's fun. You clients start arguing with each other.
And, one person loved the house, the other one didn't. And I straight out told him, I said, look, I said, I'm not writing an offer on this house for you guys. You have to be on the same page. So maybe take, a time out, take a break a little bit, regroup, and then they found the house that they love eventually down the road. So
certainly makes it a lot easier when you're actually helping to take the pressure off for them. And it builds a lot more credibility for you, right?
Absolutely, because I got text messages from both of them the next day apologizing to me that, what happened. And I said, I get it. It's an emotional process.
Right. Wouldn't you say you built up a lot of loyalty with that client in that respect, right?
Right.
So it's an interesting concept. There's a thing called a brand funnel. So kind of think of a funnel like this, and it starts with people have to be aware that you exist. Then they become familiar. Then they consider you. Then they purchase and they become loyal. So are you getting much business? So here's someone, for example, the reason why I brought that up is here's someone that you had that is working with you, but you so much established the loyalty, right?
Right.
Because when you get the loyalty, guess what comes next? Like, what are ways you're growing your business now and leveraging your approach to people? Are you getting more, referrals from people already?
Absolutely.
Awesome. So yeah.
Loyalty,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I think that loyalty, even though you explained it as that being at the bottom of the funnel, it's more something that I concentrate at the top of the funnel right off the bat. You have to gain someone's trust and that loyalty from the beginning. Sometimes it happens at the end, but I think from an education standpoint, you got to concentrate on all aspects of that at the top.
Yeah. If I remember, I don't want to embarrass myself. You used to teach marketing, right? Or something like that, or business.
Right. I've taught business courses.
Yeah. In my head, I'm wrapping it around in the sense of as you progress with someone who doesn't know you, let's say an internet lead, they first have to become aware of you. You're using the education approach, the non-sales approach to build familiarity and consideration because you become more trustworthy, right?
Correct.
Got it. It's a two-pronged approach. People have trust issues with agents, so using your approach, you build more trustworthiness. So you're going to move them through that funnel to be more likely to consider you and to purchase. And what's really cool is the people that have purchased at the bottom of the funnel, there's just fewer people, hence the narrowing of the funnel. You are getting great loyalty because they're now feeding your business back.
Correct.
I did a podcast on this yesterday, and I think you and your education background, this will resonate well. Generally speaking, what's more expensive and more difficult, to capture new business or to nurture the business you have and get repeats and referrals?
Oh, absolutely. The second, to nurture, and I mean, that takes time.
It takes time. So when you already have a client that you've connected with and helped them buy a house, i.e. towards the bottom of the funnel, and they've worked with you, now you just need to nurture that so you don't lose what you've invested. You buy Zillow leads, for example, right?
Correct.
So the cost up front of obtaining the client is more expensive because one, you have to spend the money for the leads. And, if you hit 5% conversion, you're doing well. So you got 95% of the time you strike out. And so you're working time, effort, money, Once you've captured them, that is the business that people sometimes don't pay attention to enough. So one of the topics in my podcast last night that I recorded was people spend way too much time on the capturing of the lead and the conversion. And I love how you're really balancing that out, approaching it much more holistically business in getting the repeats and referrals. That's a much lower cost investment with a much higher return. Keeping your clients loyal is the best way to grow.
Absolutely. Because you don't, the end goal is not to have to pay for marketing.
Well, eventually, maybe one day you'll go, well, I'm not going to buy Zillow leads, or I'll wean myself off that and build my whole business on repeats and referrals, right?
Right.
Interesting. I love that. So you do things, and one of the things that really captured and I wanted to talk to you about too is I see that you do things with much more intent and purpose and direction, meaning you're not just waiting around for things to happen. Is that a good way to describe that?
Correct. I've been like that my whole life. I've owned a couple businesses, so I've always had that entrepreneurial background. You can't wait for somebody else to do something for you.
Another topic in my podcast, I was talking with common mistakes in 2020 of people doing way too much organic growth, meaning I have a lot of contacts and people I know, so I'm going to post on social media that I'm an agent and just sold, just listed, sold in a day, personal promotions, and they're growing their business that way. I call that organic growth, okay?
Right.
You're an example where you couldn't do that, so it's an impossibility. Plus, what really captured me about you, and one of the reasons I wanted to be partnering with you and you as part of our team, was let's do it with purpose, intent, and direction. Let's be growth-minded and start treating it like a business. And looking at your stats, that's what happens. Here's the lesson to be learned for people watching this. Here's someone that started with a clean slate and just simply treated it like a business. Did some activities to prime the pump, works it with intent and direction, and now goes from 0 to 3, and now in another year, 3 to 6. And in the 6 months she's been with us, now applying more of that in really an alignment of our interest and yours about business building. Honestly, you're a great example of that. Any magic fairy dust that's on your shoulders? Like, hey,
No, just that's me. I've had lenders and other people say that I'm kind of like a no nonsense person. I'm very straightforward. I'm going to tell you how it is. And, and I tell my clients, I don't sugarcoat the process either.
Yeah.
So
you're being genuine at who you are. You're using that consultative approach, non-salesy, and you do it with purpose and intent. It doesn't always have to be complicated, but it needs to be mindful. It needs to have direction to it, and you need to apply the effort, and you get to see the results, and that's how you build a business. So I really appreciate you taking the few minutes here to kind of discuss it. I tell agents all the time, it doesn't have to be complicated. Stop thinking transaction oriented, think business oriented, plan it, mind it, and be yourself. But it doesn't have to be overly complicated. I think you're a great example of that. And I so much look forward to continuing to work with you to see those results grow.
Absolutely. Thanks, Larry.
All right. All the best. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.